The Joint Expeditionary Force, a UK-led military group of 10 northern European nations, has pledged to further help Ukraine.
As Putin and Lukashenko meet in Minsk, battle drills prompt fears of a new assault on Kyiv.
Trying to make amends for a dark past, the Dutch Prime Minister apologises for the historic role of the Netherlands in the slave trade. A UK-led group of 10 northern European nations has pledged to further help Ukraine defend itself from Russian aggression. The Joint Expeditionary Force was set up to accelerate a common response to Russian threats. During a meeting in Riga, the Latvian capital, assembled leaders heard a plea from the Ukrainian president for more weapons.
I ask you to increase the supply of air defense systems to our state and to help speed up the relevant decisions of partners. A 100% air defense shield for Ukraine will be one of the most successful steps against Russian aggression. This step is needed right now.
The British Prime Minister supported Zelensky's view that rather than talk of a ceasefire, Ukraine needs to push ahead with its counter-offensive.
We must continue to focus on degrading Russia's capability to regroup and to resupply. And that means going after its supply chains and removing the international support. Particularly, I'm thinking of Iran and the weapons that it's currently providing to Russia.
The increased supply of high-tech Western weapons to Ukraine has played a large part in the country's battlefield successes in recent months. But maintaining that level of support is a major challenge for the West, especially given the economic disruption the war has caused and higher electricity prices consumers are facing.
Flowers for Vladimir Putin on his first visit to Minsk since 2019. When the Russian president arrived, his Belarusian counterpart Alexander Lukashenko was there to greet him. Lukashenko is the only European leader who supports the Russian invasion of Ukraine. On the agenda, economics as well as other matters. That's according to Vladimir Putin. In fact, our goal is to sum up some results in various areas. In fact, we paid a lot of attention to security questions in recent times, cooperation on the international stage. In general, we would be satisfied with the way our relations are being built on this track. Russian troops stationed in Belarus are conducting what they call tactical exercises, prompting warnings from Ukraine of a planned attack on Kyiv in the new year. Lukashenko said he has no plans to send Belarusian troops to fight in Ukraine.
A few powerful explosions rocked Kyiv in the early hours of Monday morning as officials claimed the city was hit by a series of Russian drones. Now, the Iranian-made Shahed drones were reportedly launched from the eastern coast of the Azov Sea. Ukraine's Air Force says it shot down 30 out of 35 Russian-launched Shahed drones. Ukrainian main military intelligence directorate representative reported that Russian military received a new batch of Iranian-made drones and continues to negotiate with Iran on the acquisition of ballistic missile systems. The Institute for the Study of War says Russian military leadership is engaged in a campaign to present itself as a part of effective wartime apparatus in an effort to address the public perception of Russian failures in Ukraine. And Vladimir Putin's planned meeting with Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko is likely part of the same effort to present proactivity, as well as an effort to set information conditions for a new phase of the war. But the Institute for the Study of War assesses the capacity of the Russian military, even reinforced by elements of the Belarus armed forces, to prepare and conduct effective, large-scale mechanized offensive operations in the next few months remains questionable. Belarus Defense Ministry said in October that 9,000 Russian troops were moving to the country as part of the regional grouping of forces to protect its borders. Russian troops that were moved to Belarus in October to become part of a regional formation will conduct battalion tactical exercises, the Russian Interfax agency reported on Monday. citing the Russian Defense Ministry. Now, the Institute for the Study of War states Putin may order renewed large-scale offensive operations later this winter, but it is important not to overestimate the likely capabilities of Russian or combined Russian and Belarus forces to conduct them successfully.
It may not be possible right now, but peace is likely to come to Ukraine in 2023. This is the assessment of the United Nations Secretary General, given at a press conference in New York.
I strongly hope that in 2023 we'll be able to reach peace in Ukraine. The consequences for the Ukrainian people, the consequences for the Russian society and the economy, and the consequences for the global economy, especially for developing countries, with the high prices of food and energy, and with all the other difficulties that compound those high prices. I mentioned debt increase, I mentioned lack of fiscal space, and the dramatic situation of increased inequalities that the developing countries are suffering. All these are reasons for us to do everything possible to make a peace solution happen before the end of 2023.
After months of tough negotiations, the EU is fixing a cap on the price of gas at 180 euros per megawatt hour. The price is now around 115, but in August people suffered peaks of 350 euros per megawatt hour.
It also took some time to agree on something I believe is a balanced compromise with the equally shared pain between the two main camps. Today we agreed on the temporary, effective, realistic mechanism which will protect citizens and businesses from the excessive gas prices we have seen this summer.
The cap comes with a lot of safeguards so as to avoid any disruptions to the market. It will only be activated when two conditions are met. If prices reach 180 euros per megawatt hour on the EU's trading market and stays over this limit for a total of 3 working days, and also if the difference between the cap and the average price of global liquefied natural gas is over 35 euros. Despite all efforts, though, it was impossible to get a unanimous agreement. Hungary voted against the measure, and the Netherlands plus Austria abstained according to diplomatic sources. And Germany, which opposed the cap originally, ended up voting in favour of it.
I'm a little bit skeptical that the capping the market correction mechanism is the right way. But now we have agreed on it, and it is okay, I would say, because we have a lot of safeguards and mechanisms to monitor everything and opt out if some harm is going to threatening the supply of Europe.
The measure will be applied from the 15th of February next year and will automatically be deactivated if there's a supply risk or if gas consumption increases.
The European Union flag still flies over Bangui, but its headquarters buildings below are smouldering ruins, burnt to the ground on Sunday. Investigators haven't found the cause and nobody was injured. The mysterious incident comes as French troops complete their withdrawal from the Central African Republic, with Russia's Wagner mercenaries gaining a stronger grip on the country, just as they've done in Mali. Wagner's founder has accused France of being behind a parcel bomb that injured a Russian embassy employee in Bangui on Friday, a claim strenuously denied by the French.
The Netherlands has apologised for its historical role in slavery. In a long-awaited speech, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte has made official the sorrow, quote, on behalf of the Dutch government for the actions of the Dutch state in the past, posthumously to all enslaved people around the world who have suffered from those actions, to their daughters and sons, and to their descendants to this day. The Netherlands played a large role in the transatlantic slave trade in the 16th through to the 19th centuries. While in Suriname, a former Dutch colony, Rutte hinted that he would deliver a speech on the subject of slavery. His government is now expected to announce the creation of a compensation fund to finance projects in the countries where descendants of those slaves live.